The coronavirus returns to New Zealand. Let's have a look. Good evening, everyone. Florian.heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your evening stein of coffee, and yes, I do drink coffee at this time of night. And let's have a look at this breaking news article from news.com.au discussing, well, 4 additional cases of coronavirus in New Zealand. Now, what this is telling us is, well, they can't confirm where it's from, they don't know the source, is that it's been around the community. Asymptomatic, or people that have probably mistaken it for another illness, have been going around their daily life, even with their extreme lockdowns that they have implemented. So we need to, well, just keep this in mind, that whenever they're arguing for, draconian lockdowns and restrictions, that there are counter-arguments to the effectiveness of these methods. And I did a video on that earlier today, or not today, a few days ago. And I'll link to that up above, because I've been getting emails from Karens, and I'll go through them in other videos. Emails from Karens and people complaining and whinging, begging for authoritarian lockdown, because frankly I think they're just scared. They're scared and anxious, so they want the theatre of protection. They want the theatre of protection. They want the restrictions and rights taken away from others to feel safe. Isn't that a common thread? Let's jump over here and have a look at New Zealand. Now, they've been doing fantastically well. They've only had 1,570 cases. This is from the Johns Hopkins University of Medicine, their resource center, their map. And of that, they've only had 22 in deaths. And if I scroll down here, you can see this chart shows their daily chart, and they peaked months ago. And I don't know why people are saying there have been no new cases in 102 days, because, well, there have been new cases just recently. A few here. I guess it's just, well, they are only, let's see, can we see active cases here in NZ? How many active cases are there? Okay, so there are 22 active cases in New Zealand at the moment. What's the incident rate? Do we have that here? Incident rate is 32.56 per 100,000 people. And the case fatality ratio in New Zealand is 1.4%. Testing rate, we don't have. Hospitalization rate, we don't have. We only have that for the US. Let's compare their active cases, their incident rate of 1.4%, 32.56%. Let's compare it to Melbourne, which is now in stage 4 lockdown. Look at Melbourne. Look at Victoria right now, 230 per 100,000 people. Compare the case fatality rates. New Zealand at 1.4. Victoria is at 1.61. Look at Brisbane, 0.55. Sydney, 1.28. And Tasmania, which is really high, at 5.68. Look at the incident rates in Tasmania, that's quite low. So New Zealand have been handling it pretty well. They've been handling it pretty well. The active cases are quite low, but now all of a sudden, 4 new cases that they can't track, that they can't identify. So what does that tell us, everyone? What does that tell us? It tells us that, well, the virus is still active and still around. So New Zealand is no longer virus-free. So unless Johns Hopkins are lying, they were never really virus-free, but anyway. With 4 cases confirmed from 1 household in Auckland. The cases have no known source, and authorities are working to figure out where the family contracted the coronavirus. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern announced Auckland would return to stage 3 restrictions for 3 days, starting from midday tomorrow. The rest of the country will return to stage 2 for 3 days until midnight Friday. So lockdowns are returning to New Zealand. Restrictions are returning to New Zealand. So this is the problem. They're going to create a disincentive from people reporting if they get the illness. What if they don't want to see lockdowns? What if they don't want to see restrictions to freedom? Yesterday I saw a piece on Facebook from a radio host or someone in New Zealand was bragging about how safe it is and saying, don't worry, Victorians, you'll get through it. Well, as we can see here, it never really disappeared, did it? It never really disappeared. The rest of the country will return to stage 2 for 3 days until Friday midnight. I know this information will be difficult to receive, she said. We had all hoped not to find ourselves in this position again, but we had also prepared for it. Ms. Arden said people in Auckland would have to wear a mask when accessing essential services, while people in the rest of the country would have to don face coverings when social distancing was not possible. The case has no connection to overseas travel. The first case confirmed was a person in their 50s who presented to their GP with symptoms yesterday. GDP. Shows you all the economics news I've been reading, everyone. Health Minister, Chief Executive Dr. Ashley Bloomfield said authorities sprung into action and tested the rest of the family. Of the 6 other family members tested, 3 were positive and the others returned negative results. So, well, that's a good sign. 6 people in the household and half of them didn't get it in an enclosed environment. He said close contacts were being tested and had gone into self-isolation. Casual contacts have also gone into self-isolation. Dr. Bloomfield said it was inevitable the virus was going to return to the country. Had it left? Had it left, everyone? That's the question. Do people think it's disappeared and returned, or is it just in the community now? That's what we're seeing. And majority of people, how many are asymptomatic and not realizing it? How many of them are mistaking it for the flu that's going around? Did you guys, let me know in the comments if you got the flu this time around, this winter. I had it, and it's the worst flu I've had for a while. It's the worst flu I had for a while. I'm going to Rachel, maybe I've got it, maybe I've got it. And she goes, no, don't be stupid. You always bitch and moan whenever you get sick. You know, so apparently my wife has a wonderful bedside manner. But, you know, that's the thing. Women don't realize that when men get the flu, it's significantly worse. It's actually called the man flu. It's an evolved, more advanced version of the flu that we have to suffer from. So this is a tricky virus, he said. The cases are a wake-up call for any complacency that may have set in. The important thing now is that we stop the spread of the virus in the community. We need to stamp it out. Will complete eradication of the virus without a vaccine to mitigate its ability to reproduce and spread, will that be possible? Is that even feasible? It looks like Russia has a vaccine that they're testing now. Here's a question for you. Here's a question. Would you trust a vaccine from Russia more than one from the US or from China? Which country would you put at the top? You know, let us know in the comments. Ms. Arden said more than one workplace was involved, and it was likely it wasn't just one suburb alone in Auckland affected. She said the most important thing to do was find the origin of the cases. There is no immediate link we have found as yet to a managed isolation facility, and there is no connection to a high-risk person, such as those who work at the border. Workers at the border are also being tested. So the return of restrictions. Those in Auckland will have to work from home unless they are essential workers. School will only open for students who are parents who are essential workers. Public facilities, bars, restaurants and businesses must close by midday tomorrow. People can only leave their house for essential services. Gatherings of more than 10 people are restricted. For the rest of the country, mass gatherings will be limited to 100 people. Ms. Arden said the 3-day restrictions would give authorities time to assess the situation. We're asking people in Auckland to stay home to stop the spread, she said. Act as if you have COVID and as though people around you had COVID. We have come too far to go backwards. Or did you actually ever get that far as you anticipated? So what do you all think, everyone? Do you think it's just a sign that it's been prevalent in the community in New Zealand? You know, for 22 active cases around the whole country, you know, where else has it been? Has it spread through the entire nation? And do you think we'll start to see more and more restrictions pop up again and again? Will there become a point when we start to look at new strategies or question the effectiveness of these restrictions? Maybe there are other methods, other strategies that we can use. Have a look at that video I went through. That. Read the paper I went through. You know, this isn't just a nut. Dr. Henderson helped cure us of smallpox on this planet. So it's something to consider. As always, guys, thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content I create, there are a few ways you can. You can join the channel on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or Kucoin. You can buy a merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care, everyone. Have a great day, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye for now.